I never said it was a cult attraction. I said it was a cult following. And Paulie, I mean, you know, everybody in the business says, well, are we going to drink Heyman's Kool-Aid? He was a cult leader because he was a great motivator, but he would motivate the guys that worked for him to do these things to their bodies and to their pocketbooks that nobody else could motivate them to do. But let's go back to the start. There was Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit. And great wrestlers, and there were great wrestling matches. Yes, I'll admit that. The problem I had was with ECW. I get, you know, everybody said, well, you did street fight matches in Smoky Mountain. Yeah, but here's the thing. You can have a match that becomes a fight and spills out of the ring and people are being thrown into shit or hit with chairs or whatever, and then you can have a stunt show. And it got so far. It was like hot shotting on a weekly basis. How can we top ourselves? How can we top ourselves? They had a scaffold match, but it wasn't enough for the guy to take a bump off a scaffold. He had to take a bump off a scaffold through 3 tables, possibly that were set on fire. I can't remember. They set people on. They set Terry Funk on fucking fire. The barbed wire. I'm seeing Mick Foley. I respect Mick, and you know he's wrapped up in barbed wire, and people are bleeding out the ass. It's bad for the business. You can't follow it. You as ECW found out. I could have ran Smoky Mountain Wrestling for the 4 years that it was in existence, done the same things, the same television shows, with the same cards, with the same talent, and never charged a single penny for admission, and still would not have owed as much money as ECW did when it went out of business. It's not just a blood, ladders, tables, fire, and little to no substance. There was substance there. I've always said Paulie's a genius at getting the most out of the least. He was a good booker. He had a mind for the business. He could cut a promo. He was a good manager, etc. But he had this little problem with the truth and with restraint. Like many people from New York. Russo. I haven't mentioned that name. I guess I will later.
We're so going to get there.
But the problem is, it becomes a stunt show, and it becomes something. It was contrived. It was choreographed. I'll never forget. I didn't watch a lot of ECW TV. I was up there in Connecticut for a lot of it. I didn't want to watch the WWF TV. But I watched one night, and there's these 2 guys. I can't remember who it was. There's a table set up in the middle of the ring. They get up on the top turnbuckle, and they're both standing there holding on to each other, and they're punching each other while they're on the top turnbuckle, and there's the table, and I don't even think thumbtacks had come in yet, thank God. But they got each other, and all of a sudden you see them look at each other, look down, and go like, okay, here we go. And they both jump off together. It wasn't real. Instead of a fight that was erupting and evolving into a Pier 6 Donnybrook with people getting hit by furniture, instead of hitting people with furniture, they were hitting furniture with people. People knew that there was cooperation involved. They went too far. You can't follow it. After you go through the table on fire, then the table on fire needs to have thumbtacks on it. Then there needs to be AIDS-infested hypodermic needles on the mat below it. And then they got to bring in the pit bulls that haven't been fed in 4 days. Where do you fucking stop? That's what's the problem with the wrestling business now. In a nutshell, 20 years ago, we didn't hurt each other, but people thought we did. Now we hurt each other, but people don't believe it. ECW, in my opinion, was a large part of helping that come about.